What's up everybody? By the time that you are watching this, I have released my newest project called Remotion. And with Remotion you can create videos programmatically in React. And one awesome thing about being able to programmatically create videos is that you can make one template and then create an infinite amount of videos. Each one of them can be unique, personalized. And this is exactly what Spotify did with their 2020 Wrapped campaign. For each one of their millions of users, they have created a video which told them how much time they spent on Spotify, what were their favorite songs, artists, podcasts, etc. It was done really well. It generated a lot of social media hype for them. And because there's no such tutorial on how to create a campaign where every user gets a personalized video, I'm going to be the first one to do it. I'm going to make a step-by-step tutorial on how you can recreate Spotify Wrapped 2020 all dynamically and server-side render it and distribute it to your users. I selected 3 scenes so it doesn't get too long. And we're gonna get started right now. Alright everybody, let's get started. These are the 3 scenes that I have selected that we are going to recreate. I'm gonna play it really quickly for you. The first one is this like nice artist gallery and followed by the title card 2020 Wrapped. The second one is this genre ranking. Then the last one is gonna be this one song that helped you get through it all. This one is actually the simplest one, so we're gonna start with this one. This is gonna be our warm up. I want to quickly mention, since this feature is not anymore available in the Spotify app, I did not manage to record it, so therefore I had to steal it from another YouTube video. Hope it's okay. I'm gonna link it in the description. From the original YouTuber. So it also means that you do not get a glimpse of my music taste based on the video that I just played, because it's not mine. Anyway, let's get started. And how do we get started with Remotion? It's very simple. We simply type in yarn create video and we have to name it, let's call it Spotify Wrapped. And this is going to take a little bit of time, unfortunately, because it's now going to install Puppeteer, which is about 100 megabytes. So this is a good time to get some coffee. Okay, so now the installation has finished, and the next thing we do is we just go into this folder and I guess open it in VS Code. And once we are in here, actually before we started, there's one more thing I want to do. I want to install styled components. This is just a personal preference of mine and therefore it does not ship with Remotion, but I prefer to write my CSS like this instead of like using CSS style sheets and then import them, or like doing it in any other way. So while I said that it's already installed, nice, let's get started. I call npm start and we here have our demo project that is now up and running. Okay, so I think the first thing that we are going to do is there's like this gradient that is being used in 2 of our 3 scenes, and this gradient effect, which is also animated by the way, is quite prominent in all of Spotify Wrapped. First thing we're going to do is we're going to recreate this gradient. I'm going to make a new component, export const gradient, I'm going to use the absolute fill component from Remotion, and let's start with a simple linear gradient from to bottom red blue. All right, and the next thing we have to do is we have to register our gradient. We can actually delete the Hello World project and only use our own. So we have gradient, and then we have to pass in a component as well as the width. This is going to be a vertical video, so I'm going to make it 720 by 2080. And what did I forget? I have to pass in the duration. I'm not yet sure. I'm just gonna make it like 2 seconds. I say 60 because the next property is frames per second. I'm gonna make it 30, seems standard. Yeah. Okay. So let's see what's happening. Nothing has happened yet. Oh, okay, it must be background, not background color. Already made the first mistake. I think I'm gonna, oh, sorry about that. I'm gonna move myself down here so you can see it better. Okay, so now let's just pick some colors. And since it's moving a bit, let's also like copy this color here and then put the first color in again so that we can repeat it. Now the gradient is not animated at all, so what I would propose is that we make the height of the gradient a little bit bigger than it is right now, and then animate the position of it. Okay, so we can make this dynamically by first getting the height of the composition by saying const height equals use video config. I'm gonna say it's gonna be 1.5x as high as it is right now. Okay, and now let's animate it. It seems to be based on a linear interpolation. It's not like a spring animation or something. I would say seems pretty steady. So I'm just gonna move the translate y value over time. So let's say it takes 2 seconds to go, maybe even a bit longer. Let's say 4 seconds. So let's say 4 seconds to spin through the whole gradient, and then the offset would be so for that we would have to get the current frame using use current frame. It would be half the height, because that's how much it is longer. That's how much the gradient is longer than the whole composition. Times the frame and duration. So let's do a transform y let's have a look. Is it not at all moving? That's interesting. So in a case like this, what we can do is we can just open the console and make a console.log. So console.log offset, and we can see that it is actually changing the value, and now I see the bug. Should be translate y. And let's see, still nothing. Okay, what could possibly be wrong? Oh, this pixel should be inside, and now the gradient is transforming. So I think one thing that we can maybe do is, let's make two gradients so that they can repeat themselves. And this one maybe can go into the inverse direction, and I'm gonna say this is below the other one, and then we can do this. Let's make the composition a bit longer. See what we have. All right, I think this is not bad. Maybe we should not invert this one. And also not 3 heights, but only 2, so it does not overflow. I think we have done it pretty well, actually. Nice. Here we have a bit of a black line. Maybe my math is not that perfect, so it seems like I must do -1. Alright, so we have created our gradient from the intro. Now let's move on to actually the last scene that I showed you. So let's analyze it a bit. We have a we have a blue background and then a circle showing our gradient that becomes smaller over time, and then the album cover fades in, and we have I titled one song, I helped you get through it all. Then it fades up a little bit. Okay, so few effects. So let's start by picking this color, and I'm gonna make a new composition. I'm gonna call it scene 3. And also for this one, we have to register the the composition, scene 3, scene 3, and now we can here in the sidebar switch between the two scenes that we have. Now, of course, we need to have some kind of the circle animation. So let's start by making a circle. So I'm gonna give it the size and this border radius. And of course a background color of, let's for now say white. Okay, and now let's put this gradient inside. We need to stop the overflow. Okay, so it seems to only work when the circle is absolutely positioned. I guess that's just CSS. I did not immediately recognize that, but it is how it is. Now the gradient is a little bit too big, and then what I like to do about it is add a prop. Later it's going to be full sized, right? But here we don't want it to be full sized, so I'm going to give it a height, pretty much only a height prop, and then delete this one which would have taken it from the composition. Alright, and now let's just pass in a height of 500. What is a good practice is to make a constant. Okay, and now let's position the circle. So the left coordinate is going to be the, now we need the width of the video. Let's say this is in the middle, and then we need to subtract half the circle size. There we go. I removed this white background and it seems to come a little bit nicer. I don't know if this is visible on the video. Okay, and what is the, let's say we position the circle here, and so let's say we center it and then maybe put it a little bit more towards the bottom, because this is how it appears to be here as well. Okay, so the next thing is we are going to animate. And to make it smooth, I would make this a spring animation. So let's say progress and import spring. For this, we're gonna need the current frame. Every time you want to animate something over the time, you will have to call this hook frame equals use current frame. And then, so now we can okay, so for the opacity, I think we can just pass it in like this, progress, and now it fades in from 0 to 1. This is the default behavior of the spring animation. And for the scale, we're gonna interpolate the progress value. So we import interpolate. The first argument is which value we want to interpolate. Second one is the input range. So like I said, progress goes from 0 to 1 over time. And the second one is the output range that we want. So we want the scale to go from like approximately 3 or 4 to 1. So I'm going to say 4 to 1. And use CSS to scale it. So, alright, it animates in, and you notice the default spring animation has a bit of a bounce. And to change the spring, we can pass several properties, physical properties, into the spring animation. We have damping, mass, stiffness. I'm just going to increase the damping a little bit, and then the spring is going to go away. So it already looks pretty good, actually, just like in the video. All right, okay, man, already looking pretty good. And now I've already downloaded the image of the cover. Gonna drag it in here. This one is it, and just gonna import it. By the way, a very obscure artist. This song was from the guy that I took the YouTube video from. He, this was his favorite song of all of 2020, and only has like 1,200 streams on Spotify. So like the streams must have all come from that guy alone. So like some underground hip hop song. Never heard of this one at all. So I put the wrong extension. And by looking at the console, see, I put style instead of source. Yes, I am a little bit nervous. Actually, let's make this our own component. I think this would be cleaner. Let's see, where did the image go? I put it inside the circle. Okay, so I'm gonna make a styled component for the container. I'm gonna say width is gonna be like, actually I should be more like 400, I think. Ooh, 400 is actually still not so much. Right, 500 then. And here I also have to put it. Okay. Now here, actually I'm gonna wrap this in a div and position it first of all the same as the circle. Wow, now it's overlapping the circle completely. This should take it from the cover size. Let's take a look at the reference. Yeah, looks pretty much the same. The only thing that is missing is a nice subtle box shadow. Something like this. It could be a little bit softer maybe, and maybe not full opacity. Perfect. So let's see how the album cover animates in. So this one increases its scale and also is coming back in a little bit later. Now the question is, should we drive it from the same animation or should we make a new spring animation? I think we can drive it from the same animation actually. So we say cover opacity, and the way I make it that it fades in a little bit later is I just interpolate the value from 0 to 1, or I say the input value is not 0 to 1 but like 0.5 to 1, and the output value is 0, 1. So it will only start fading in after half the duration of the base animation has completed. Opacity, cover opacity, and as you can see it fades in a little bit later. Let's first do the cover scale. I also think this should be... Let's first try it out by keeping it the same. So definitely think the animation has to start later, like at 0.7, and maybe the scale, it should not be from 0, I think, but instead as it fades in, the cover is already like almost half its size. Let's play it. Okay, I'm gonna tweak the values a little bit, make the scale a little bit more subtle. Yeah, just playing around with these values until it feels right. And now I think I'm at the point where I like it a lot. And to be honest, it looks even smoother than Spotify because we have this amazing spring animation primitive in Remotion. Let's enjoy it one more time. Nice. Okay, so the next thing is we're gonna add text. All right. So for font family, I'm just going to use the system font, not going to bother to use the proprietary Spotify font. Hope that makes sense. Color is white, obviously. Font size should be 40 pixels maybe, and font weight is bold. Let's help you get through it all. We definitely need to center it. In here I just force a line break. Let's say position absolute, top like 400 pixels. Width 100%. Look, it is a little bit hacked. The CSS layout is not so dynamic actually, but hey, I mean, just want to demonstrate it a little bit. It seems right, and then there's definitely like a text shadow. A stronger one actually. And once again, it's not completely black. Increase the font size a little bit. Oh. This seems about right. Maybe like this. Yeah, I like it this way. Okay, so let's play the original frame by frame. So now we have this animation where everything goes up and it replaces it with a different text. Okay, so I'm gonna say up animation. Again, use a spring animation. Spring animations for life. Sorry about that, my flatmate just came home. I said hi. So we want to delay this animation a little bit, and we're going to do this just by manipulating the frame that we input into the spring animation. So by saying frame minus 100, we can say only start this animation at frame 100. And alright, let's wrap all the content we have inside another absolute fill. And let's first define what the content translation is. Up animation. From 0 to 1, and we animated from 0 to maybe 250 pixels. Style transform. Something like that. Okay, so we don't need to minus, and I see 100 frames is way too late. Let's try it with 40. Already looks much better, and we don't need to translate it as much. say 150, 100. With fast refresh, it's like we can see it so quickly. Okay. Now, oh, we forgot to animate the text in actually. So let's do it in one end. So let's say const text opacity, and let's make this a self-invoking function, so we can write like a little algorithm in here. So if frames smaller than 40, so this is when it is fading in, right? We can say const up start is 40. So if this is the case, we are going to fade it in. And use the progress variable. I think we can fade it in the same way as we fade in the cover. Text opacity. Let's see how they did it in the original. And there it definitely came in a little bit later, so I'm gonna do it like this. All right, looking good. And I think let's leave it for like 1 more second in this steady state before we animate it up. And now we fade it out, right? So interpolate up animation. Here, now we go from 0 to 1. All right, fading it out. Now we have another title supposed to appear. And I guess that's the name of the song. Okay, so your top song of the year is so let's make this now a variable. Say top song name, and let's make this a prop. Because after all, we want to make the video as dynamic as possible. And to pass a default value for it so that we can see what's going on while we are previewing it, we can in here pass default props. And this is even like TypeScript enabled, so you can't really make much mistake. All I talk is money. Let's add a dot at the end, and I think it needs to be a little bit padded. Maybe a little bit more even, or a bit less, I don't know. actually looks good to me. And of course I need to put a different value for the top position. $1,000. 1100. I think I actually want to make the font size a bit smaller this time. Is it just me, or is this one smaller? And let's increase the padding. Now it's like line wrapped the exact same as in the Spotify example. Looking good in my opinion. And we also have a small, we have the artist name, I suppose. Yes, it is actually the artist name. So, top song, artist name. This should also be dynamic. And we put it in here. Oh, I see. So this one is looking good. We just need to move it down a little bit. All right, perfect. Last thing to do, I think, is to fade in the text. Bottom text opacity. I think we're gonna delay this by like 15 frames. Pass in the FPS and fade it in a lot faster. If you want to make it faster, you can decrease the mass. Small tip for you. Bottom text opacity. And then like the artist text opacity. It's also a bit later. Let's make it 8 frames later. Top. Okay, let's play it. Nice. I would maybe delay this even more. Maybe make the fade in a bit slower. All right, okay, I like it. Gonna make the composition like 1 second longer so that like it can rest at the end. And we see a small bug here that the gradient is animating for too long. So let's think about how we can solve this. So since it's like repeating, I think we can just modulo it by duration. Oh. Make it a little bit complicated by animating 1.5 times the height. So how could we fix this jump? So I think we are not correctly animating it until the end. We must make sure that at the end of this 120 frames, the animation is in the same state as in the beginning, and that would be 1.5 height. All right, and that has fixed it. Sorry for having to think a while about this. Okay. Now I think we can go to our second scene. And that is the top genres scene. So we start out with a title on a pink background, and after that we have like some kind of strange animation. I don't know the exact algorithm for this animation, so I think for our use case we're just gonna simplify it because they seem to have like typed in random numbers and came up with this effect, and I probably cannot recreate it so well. So for this one, a simplified version. Okay. Scene 2. Let's copy the color of the background. And let's register the video. Don't know why it does not want to import. All right, here we go. Second scene. Let's start by having some bars. I'd say each bar should be approximately 150 pixel high, and the width is going to be dynamic. Let's for now make it a dot. And it has automatically closed my tag, so I need to open it again. Okay. Border radius. Let's make it a constant. Okay, so why is it not being rounded? What is my mistake? Do I need to pass overflow hidden to this? No. Oh, I forgot pixel. There we go. And I think it could maybe be 180. So we have 50 bars. Let's copy the colors of them. Nice. And I guess we can spread them apart by just putting some margin. Oh, that's way too much. Way too much. Okay. Let's make a title as well. Maybe we can copy the title from the other component. Then your top genres were put it a bit up and maybe even maybe like this, and each bar let's yeah, let's like add some padding in here. To push down the bars. And it turns out the bars are a bit too big. Maybe 150 would have been better. Now I think it's looking good. Now let's define some width, or let's define how long the bars should be at the end. So let's say the end width of this one is going to be so like half the screen width it appears. And then it gradually becomes less and less. So for this one, let's do 120 minus 180, and this 240. So now let's move all of them a bit to the left. And maybe extend them by like 50 pixels. Or like 80. Let's add a little bit more, and now I think it's reasonable. Also, they seem to have a box shadow. Yeah, and it's now looking good to me. Okay, let's refactor this part component into its own file. As you can see, fast refresh is doing its job. I made a mistake and it caught it. So let's rename this to bar container, make props a separate type. All right, there we go. Let's drink a little bit of water before we continue. Oh, all right, let's okay. I guess the bar itself doesn't need these props, so I'm gonna make two types. So I guess let's make like a div. And let's just render the genre and the rank. Let's make it a row. I think we can set here color white, font size maybe like 35 pixels. Add a line break. Here we add some space. Then we should use a sans serif font. And decrease the font size a little bit, I suppose. Here we have like this hash in front of it. And finally, we increase the line height a little bit. All right, looking good. I think let's copy over this text shadow property as well. Yes. All right, the next thing is the animation. Let's take a closer look. So let's not worry about the content, like how it moves up for now. Let's only worry about how these things fade in. So they have like some kind of staggered effect. Where the one at the bottom is fading in first. So let's say interpolate, let's interpolate the frame equals use current frame. Let's say it takes like 8 frames to fade in. Right, fading in. And now let's also involve the rank. So the one at the bottom should start first. So I think we can make a variable total ranks 5. So now it gets a little bit tricky. So if you think about it, now if the rank is 5, then the offset is 0. If the rank is 1, then the offset is going to be 4 times 5. And that gives us this staggered effect. This is really nice about Remotion, that you only have to solve the problem once. And you know, in After Effects you would have to manually put keyframes on each one of them, and then if you say, oh, I want to make it slower, you have to make everything manually slower. So it's a lot faster actually. Oh. So let's only multiply it by 2. And maybe give it a general offset of like 10 frames. Then this bar width, let's inline it. And let's animate the width. So like I said, I wouldn't make it exactly the same as it is here. Let's just start from the middle and then animate it to the left without all these sequences in between. Of course, you could do them in Remotion as well, but I don't feel doing these right now because I also think it doesn't look that good. Okay, so so let's say animated width. The reason why I'm thinking about so hard is about how to call these variables. You know, the hardest thing in programming is to name things. So actually, let's use a spring animation for this. Looks nicer, I think. So let's interpolate it. To end with +100. And it's doing exactly nothing, so I think we need to delay it a little bit. So, but the interesting thing is that it's so how they move into place, it's like from top to bottom. So unlike where it the bottom one faded in first, the one at the bottom is sliding first. So let's think about that. All right, the next thing we have to do is make sure that the dot is in the center. Maybe we should have done this at the beginning, but it's okay. So left equals, so let's take the middle point of the video. Yes, we can do this with margin left minus half the circle width. That's bar height. And then, so I think this is, oh, it's interesting. So we animate the bar width from 0. What we actually want is we want to animate it from bar height. Looking nice, right? And here we have a small problem, but we can fix it afterwards. Or we can fix it right now. We can just say row is with like 2000, just way longer than it actually is. Okay, looking good. And so let's interpolate this as well. With progress, let's take 0, 1, and let's start from the middle and go to 0. And let's not go to 0, let's go to -60. And now we can remove this. Nice! I would add a little bit more delay between this. Very nice. And then another effect we have here is these labels fading in. Okay, so let's say once label progress, should we use spring animation or should we using linear animation? If in doubt, always go for spring animation. Maybe damping to 100 and mass, let's make it a little bit faster again. And now let's figure out when it should start. So I think it should, every animation should be offset by like 120 frames probably. Let's try that out. Seems about right. And then let's also make them fade in one by one. So label. So we stagger them by, it should more be like 15 frames. I feel like this animation is pretty slow. And so let's make everything a little bit faster, and also let's make the scene a bit longer. Maybe like 7 seconds. Okay, nice. We've also fixed the offset issue. Guess I need to, oh, I changed the wrong scene. All right, so as you can see, I can like change the length of the scene and React will automatically fast refresh it. It's kind of cool, right? Very nice. So maybe make this one a bit slower. And also there's like a translation, so where it comes up from the bottom, and we can do this easily with Remotion. So we can do like an inline interpolation, why not? Label progress, and we say it comes from like 40 pixels from the bottom and moves up. And I forgot the pixel. Nice. Finally, let's implement this fade up effect. And what I would do is I would just wrap everything within an absolute fill and say const move up. Of course there's spring animation. Let's use this damping 200 as default. Spring config for now, even though, I mean, there's so much you could do. So translate, white, interpolate, move up. From like, so we could like calculate this mathematically. So let's say top title 150, const font size is 50. Also let's make it line height 1, so it's exactly that. Or maybe let's say title offset, give it a better name. Font size as well. And now, what is the offset? So let's take the height minus the title offset minus the font size. I mean half the height, and animate it to 0. And I guess we can take this out and say title offset to simplify it a little bit. Oh, actually, no. So never mind that. This doesn't work because we want to animate the whole content and not just the title. So we can please just ignore my idea. Translate Y. Translate Y. There we go. Yeah, I mean, looks exactly the same. So one thing I would maybe change is that I think the opacity animation is like not so smooth, and I think if we were, you have to really have a good eye for a detail, but I think it would be better with a spring animation. Actually, everything should be a spring animation. But anyway, I think I'm gonna leave it by that. I'm gonna leave scene 2 like that for now. And now we can stitch the scenes together. Export const main This is a very important concept of Remotion: composition. So let's say sequence from 0, duration 210 seconds, and say scene 2. The other one was 5 seconds long, so we do it like that, and we register the video. That is 360. So let's see what we have so far. Oh, and I fucked it up again. This should be scene 3. It's very strange that it doesn't want me to import this. Alright. Oh, and here now we should accept the same props, pass down the props. Top song name. Alright, looking good so far. We have 2 out of the 3 scenes. Let's go for the final one, and actually the most challenging one. I love this effect with these artist pictures, just amazing. All right. Scene 1 must be a .tsx file. Let's insert the gradient first, which we already did, fortunately. All right, let's... All right, we have the gradient, and it's not animating because we have not passed the height. Let's get the height. All right. Now it's interesting. So how do you even do this? And so obviously we have like 4 containers of an image that is slightly scaling up. Here we have like the weekend with a weird mustache, and then it's like duplicated and mirrored. I'm doing this also for the first time. Let's figure this out. But I mean, it looks so good. I'm I'm learning as well how to create these kind of effects. So how do we call this effect? Like the only challenge is how do we name this correctly? Let's call it like 4 faces. And here we can definitely also take advantage of the powerful composition model of Remotion. You will see for sure. Okay, absolute fill. Okay, and now let's create a child component, like a scaling face. Let's also make this an absolute fill, and like for now let's just put a placeholder. Let's say it's a red color with a fat border. And so let's make it 4 separate tiles. So we surely need to get the width and the height of the video. And to be honest, it's not working like I intended it to be. So let's take out the dev tools. Yes, Remotion works with dev tools. Of course it does. Let's take a look. And I can't quite figure this one out. I give it an explicit width and height, but doesn't want to accept it for some reason. Oh, okay, that's so... I must put the 4 faces component here. All right, there we go. Let's duplicate it 3 times. And let's put this one left. This one as well, but also like this. All right. Now we can actually put an image in there. I have already found the image on the internet. Here we have weekend, and I've misspelled it without an E. So let's fix that. And import the guy. Oops. Okay. Now maybe we want to make this a back. Do we want to make it a background? I don't know. Okay, let's figure this out. Oh, isn't there like an aspect ratio property in Chrome now? Oh, that's so cool. Position absolute, height 100%. Yes, and man, how do I make an image? How is an image centered? Left minus 50% maybe? Yes, and then overflow hidden. All right. And let's remove the border. Wow, okay, it's gonna be so good. And let's scale it up like crazy. Transform, scale, like maybe be a bit too much. And yeah, now we need to also mirror it a bit. So no problem with CSS, right? So scale x -1. There we go. This one we with like scale -1 maybe. Indeed. Then here we have scale y -1. All right. Oh my god, it's getting so good. And now all we have to do is, I mean, it's not all we have to do. We have to do a lot of things. We have to animate the scale. So and how do we decide how to scale it? It's like really slow and wow, okay, so cool. So it seems like linear actually. I think here it's fine to do it linearly. Let's say from 1 to 20 we animated from 1.2 to 1.3, only very slightly we animated. Okay. Looks so funny. And like definitely not yet right. So let's normalize this to 0.1 and say scale keep the 0.2 to 0.3, but we can actually pass a fourth argument to interpolate, and that is extrapolate right clamp, so it will not overshoot. And I think the only other thing we have to do is to also make like translate left, translate y. Oh, more like translate x. Yeah. And it's like still way too fast, so I'm gonna do like this. Oh, it's looking so cool. That's it, right? And now we need to clip it somehow. So how do we do that? So there's like a CSS clip property, right? I'm just gonna pull up the documentation really quick. Okay, so how about this style clip? Oh, it's deprecated. Okay, whatever. I mean, the web will support all deprecated properties for a very long time. Oh, but it's not working as I expected it to be. Why not? Oh, and I can't put the commas. Yes, okay. So let's use a spring animation. What else did you think? Of course, we use a spring animation to animate the clip. So let's do this as always. And now let's calculate the clip path. So we start I guess so. It's tricky. How do we calculate this? I suppose, so there's like offset x and y. I think we need to separate it. And for x, it is like width by 2 to 0. Now this is something I can absolutely not do. Remember what this is, but I have the docs pulled up. This is top. This is right. So this is bottom. Okay. So apparently it's just clockwise. Offset y, let's. Oh, wow. Let's make it a lot slower, actually. If we want to make it slower, let's increase the mass. And clockwise. All right, okay. It's gonna be so good. All right. Let's make it even slower. This is like some. I love this. I love the style. I learned something new. I'm gonna interpolate again to make it fully opaque when it's when the animation is only halfway done. Let's see the reference video. Okay, maybe we should not do this. And also, let's maybe not start from and make it a bit faster. Yeah, let me just tweak some values here. Maybe divider. Okay, okay. I mean, I feel like we are getting there. So besides The Weeknd, we have a few other of these artists. This is Mary J. Blige, and I did not actually know that. So I had to reverse image search it. I mean, I know who Mary J. Blige is, but I did not immediately recognize her. So let's make this a prop so we can dynamically put in different people. So Okay, it's working again. Oh, okay. So one thing that also I noticed is this, that with Spring it takes really long to like really get to 0. So maybe you want to make this a bit negative so it reaches 0 faster. And well, so there's a lot on the edge. Interesting. So here it seems like the clip path is not yet perfect. Okay. So maybe we want to put math.min. This is not a hook, so you can wrap this in math.min without any problems. Okay, now it looks a little bit better to me. Yeah, now let's do the fun part and import other people. There we have Mary J. Blige. Here we have the Roots. I like them a lot. Sam Smith. I like him a little bit less, to be honest. But it's alright. So, Mary J. Blige. So, Mary J. Blige, Roots, Sam Smith. And so what if we want to delay all the other ones by a little bit? You simply wrap them in a sequence. So maybe 1 per second. And let's give each of them the full duration. Oh, you can do infinity, by the way. Then it will never disappear. Okay, let's have a look. Ooh, and we have some problems with our clip path. Oh, this should be math.max. Okay, let's have a look again. Oh, it's looking so good. So good. So okay, there's a little bit of problem with Mary J. Blige, like not completely centered, but I don't think there's like so much we can do about it without like changing the source video. Or can we? What about if we say width? I think I'm gonna leave it like that. It's like a problem for you to figure out, and you probably should pick. I mean, you need to edit these images so that it works well for you. So let's see what happens afterwards. We are almost done. Okay, so afterwards we have like one of these weird circles coming up again. Let's do this one really quickly. So I guess the circle width is the height of the video. Background color white. And let's progress it. Use just spring frame FPS. So let's scale it. Then it should be transform. Okay, I guess I need to offset it by height minus width divided by 2 to actually center the circle. And I guess it's not exactly the formula. Let's inspect it. So this is now left minus 640 pixel. Wow, which is strange, right? Because, oh, I see, it's not even absolutely positioned. That's for surely the issue. And now let's add a border radius. And fill it with the gradient. Add overflow hidden. Let me resize this a little bit. Pretty good, and that's also opacity, just use progress. And so let's make it slower. Let's use the same config from here. And actually the size should be like height. This you could arithmetically you could arithmetically calculate this, but I'm just gonna say height 1.5 because I'm not that good. And now you of course also need to adjust the top value. Okay, there we go. It could even be a bit slower to my taste. Yeah. Okay. Whew. We've almost done it. Let's just add the wrapped title and then we are done, right? Okay. So here I would just say let's add just some padding. Then absolute fill, does it work? Okay, let's register the video. No, it does not unless I like wrap it in something like this with position relative. Okay, so apparently that's not how, okay. So if I make it display Oh, interesting. Interesting. Okay, position relative, that seems to be... So, okay. This is how you can make it work. And I more wanted it to be like this, actually. Okay, let's copy the color. And add a little box shadow. By the way, there is a handy toggle in Remotion where you can toggle transparency. So let's spread it a bit more. Maybe like this. And let's put a title. I know there's a lot of making fun of how to center something in CSS, but at least in CSS you can programmatically center a title. I mean, in After Effects you have to drag and drop, and then if you change the dimensions of the container, you have to re-drag it again. So, I mean, actually CSS is much better in that way. Let's try it out. Okay, so we should say display flex, justify content center to center it, align item center, also text align center, increase the font size by quite a bit. And maybe decrease the line height a little bit, tweak it just a little bit. Yeah, like this. Looks good. Let's see how this is animating in. So, nothing we haven't done before. Spring animation. And let's animate the scale. And now let's also make it here. It doesn't like scale from 0, but rather from like 0.7, right? So let's say that it's scaled from 0.7. All right, and opacity I think is the same. Oh, opacity should just be progress, I guess. And the title, let's make this another mission and delay it by like 20 frames. maybe a bit quicker. Okay, and now let's add it to our scene. Let's go back into this scene in our Remotion project and let's play it. Okay, maybe with a little bit more delay. All right, wow. We've almost done it. Let's add it to our main composition. Let's say scene 1, and let's play everything together. And at first we need to increase the main composition length. So plus 210. There we go, man. Wow, so crazy, man. We did it, and it looks, in my opinion, very good, very authentic. This is like something that with a little bit of tweaking, Spotify could have shipped as well. And so we're gonna make a render, but first I wanna show you really quick on how you can make these things more dynamic. So the goal would be to create a personalized video for every user, right? And so we have to generically provide this text and all the data. And I've already shown you how you can do it here. When it comes to images, then what you can do is let me just grab the image really quick. This is really cool. So for scene 3, let's say we don't import the image directly, but instead we pass it as a prop and we accept a URL. And now, of course, we need to add that prop everywhere. Okay, so here, let's fix all the type errors we have. So top song cover so you get the idea. I'm just gonna pass down all the props. Now here I'm going to paste in the image URL. Yes, you can just load an image from the web. Nice, right? And all the errors have been fixed. And now if I wanted to use a different cover, let me just grab a different image. I could just pass it in here, and it's oh, did I? Okay, let's have a look at this really quick. Oh no, that is the... Okay, I simply copied the wrong image, and I could put a different album cover in here. Now, how would you do it with this? Pretty simple. You just pass in an array. I can show you really quickly how you would do that. So let's it all down. Thanks to type safety, we can debug these issues really quickly, and yeah. Do it like that. Now I'm not gonna like also make it generic for the first scene, put different images. I think you have gotten the point. One thing that I could maybe show really quickly is that, let's say you want to import these dynamically. What you can do is also use an inline require. Okay, sorry for the confusion. This is a little bit of a Webpack edge case. So I can just like pass in an array of images and it will load them. However, seemingly not if I put like a ./ in front of it. I'm not sure what it is. I guess you just have to learn Webpack as well a little bit, or you can just take what I have learned and apply it to yourself. But yes, it is very well possible that it is possible that you can also load these images dynamically and therefore have a fully dynamic video. Okay, so let's render the video. For that, we cancel out and call. First of all, we need to tell Remotion that we want to render the main composition, and therefore we change hello world to main, and we say npm run build. Let's do it. And this is of course gonna take a little bit of time, but so that's pretty normal for video rendering, right? I'll be right back. The video has been finished. Let's play the video, shall we? So here's the original, just as a reminder. And here on the left, here's our version. pretty good, right? It's a real MP4 file. We did it with from 0 to everything. Okay, so one more thing before we wrap it up is the very powerful props command line flag. npm run build and dash dash to allow more command line arguments, and then I say props. And here I have copied these default props from here, and now I can just modify them. So let's say number 1, and maybe the top song name, let's say hello YouTube. Gonna render it like this. And also one thing I have to pass in is the overwrite flag. Otherwise, yeah, it's just a protection so you don't accidentally overwrite your existing video file. And we're gonna render this again. I'll be right back. As you can see, now the text has dynamically changed. Here we put number 1, and here as a strong song name we put hello YouTube. There we go. Rendering a video, writing a video programmatically, dynamically, changing its props. You could now fill in any content you want and automate the rendering. You can render it on Docker. The animations look awesome. It took us about 3 hours. But imagine how long Spotify worked on this. I think pretty efficient for like a 20-second animation, if you ask me. This is Remotion. I hope you are as excited as I am. I hope you give it a try. I hope you build something awesome. I hope I get to see many awesome videos. Thanks a lot for watching all of this, and see you soon on Twitter, on YouTube, somewhere. The future is going to be good. Remotion. Thanks again for watching. See you.